Amado, the man who talks like a potential ally but moves like a snake in tall grass. Shikamaru, he doesn't trust him. Ada damn sure doesn't trust him and she hates him. Kawaki doesn't trust him either. Even Kashin Koji, someone who was literally cloned from Jiraiya and someone who has worked with Amado in the past, he keeps his distance from Kashin Koji. And fans, I think it goes without saying, we've been giving this guy the side eye ever since we first met him. After all, how can you feel any sympathy for a guy that lies about putting a bomb around the neck of a child? But what if I told you that Amado might have been pulling strings from the shadows a lot longer than we thought he was, and not just against Konoha or not for Code, but instead for himself in a major way? Just like you have trickster foxes in Japanese folklore, Amado may be using illusions, half-truths for certain, and deception to create the problems that only he can solve, like Ada called out in part 1, in order to make himself completely indispensable. And the scariest thing of all, the clues they've been in our faces the entire time since Boruto part 1, especially when it comes to the fact that Amado might have interest in keeping Code alive that has been overlooked. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, goes into detail about why Amado needs to be put under a closer microscope by us as fans. Because when you read Boruto's manga while waiting on the next chapter to drop, which I recommend going back and doing a reread occasionally, it becomes pretty clear that Amado has left out some information that could be valuable to Konoha, which is in character for him. Also, if you haven't already, check out my new Dandadan videos on my Anime Explained channel. By the time you guys are seeing this, the Every Alien in Dandadan Explained videos should be up on the channel, along with Sakamoto Days, The Order Explained, and the additional Dandadan video that the editor for that channel has been working on. The Rent a Girlfriend video and My Dress Up Darling videos are still in the process of being edited. So big appreciation if you have time to check them out on those videos. They are safe for anime only fans of those series to check out. So again, big time appreciate you. So getting right into it, we got to start with why Amado's still sus. I know it's 2025 and Naruto Explained is leading the charge against Amado being sus. You're damn right I am. Shikamaru is my spirit animal. Amado always enters into situations as the man who has the answers. When Kara collapsed, he became the one who was the indispensable scientist for Konoha. When Kawaki needed the karma seal, Amado was the one who was gaslighting him, and guess what? He already had karma planted back into Kawaki without Kawaki realizing it, and that allowed for Kawaki to save Naruto. Amado just happens to be that guy thinking a few steps ahead. Ada called it out herself. Amado creates messes so he can swoop in to service the savior. That's not the behavior of someone that is loyal to a village. That's the behavior of someone who they value not just themselves, but they value control. Despite being in Konoha, despite now being a citizen of Konoha, as a part of his agreement when he signed that paperwork with Naruto in part 1, he's never really gone out of his way to try and help track down Code. Yet Ada, who openly admitted that she can watch Code with her Senrigan eye, they know that. When you think about it, Ada could have been used as a partner tool. The entire time they were wondering, what are we going to do about Code? This guy's out here plotting and scheming. Well before Ada even showed up, we now know that Amado, via his ninja tech, was able to look in the eyes of different car inner members. Amado quietly has not revealed that information to any of them in Konoha. At least now Sumire knows because she was watching the Kawaki fight, but how much of that was Amado willingly letting her know that information and she just happened to be in the right place at the right time because she was there when Kawaki got his limiters removed? It does make me wonder if Amado is waiting for Code to serve some other purpose. Notice that when Amado put those limiters on Kawaki, he gave him the defensive capabilities and the regen capabilities to not be killed by Code, but he did not give Kawaki the power to kill Code. It makes me think that both of these characters still serve some kind of a purpose, if you will. And that's where we get into the ninja tech eye problem. That is concerning. When Amado can literally see through his creations, that is an issue. We saw it with Delta. We saw it with Kawaki. Even back in part 1, when Koji was fighting Jigen and Ishiki, Amado was able to watch through the toad that Kashin Koji was using, which does kind of line up with our thoughts as a community that Amado had done something to those toads. It makes sense that if he can put ninja tech into living humans, he can put them into animals as well. Ask yourself, do you really think that Amado only gave this very useful feature to Delta and Kawaki? Doesn't that make something that Amado's doing, if he's doing it from that perspective, seem a little bit sus? Either he put it in all the car inner members and it just has not been revealed, or there could be a connection with Kawaki and Amado, something that I've raised in the past before. A connection through Akebi. That's going to be more suspicious. We know Kawaki's father. We don't know Kawaki's mother. If Akebi is Kawaki's mother and Amado tied that into his ninja tech, that does give him leverage. It is a safeguard. Kawaki is a consequentialist, but this might be something that allows him to fully appeal to Kawaki's nature. If the karma seal that he had put on Kawaki that has Akebi's data fails, Kawaki said, I will kill your daughter if she becomes an Otsutsuki. If Kawaki learns that Otsutsuki is truly your mother, Kawaki, who's never known true love from his actual parents, that might make him pause. Part of the reason why he gravitated towards Naruto is that he for the first time got to know a father's love. We know that Akebi's personality is drastically different than Delta's because every clone of Akebi that Amado made had a drastically different personality than the original. That's the reason why Ada stresses the Delta we know in Akebi, they're two different characters personality-wise, temper-wise. Amado might be able to manipulate Kawaki through his deepest bond that he's been looking for to feel for himself, family. But I ask again, if all of the cyborgs that Amado experimented on have that ability, then Amado should theoretically have been able to watch all along, which means that his silence about Code well before Konoha even got Ada into the fold, it was intentional. So this brings up the next question. Why not help track down Code before Ada even got into the picture? If Amado can see through those cyborgs, why hasn't he told Konoha, hey, Code is here. He's in Boro's hideout. Why sit back while Code builds his Clawgrime army in that process? Why sit back when Code was in hiding for several months? Naruto and Sasuke and Shikamaru were coming up with plans. Sasuke himself got close to Code's location. He found out about the hideout in the manga. At that point in time, a limited Code, you could argue, might not be able to defeat Naruto and Sasuke if they have prep time. So two answers make sense in my opinion. A cover story. Amado doesn't need to help because Ada already provides that service with the Senrigan. Konoha has leaned very heavily on her abilities there. If questioned, he can always hide behind, well, you guys had her ability, so I didn't think that it was something you needed to know, even though that does not excuse withholding that information prior to that. The other thing is that there's future utility. Amado might not need Code dead just yet. Code is a blunt instrument, a simple-minded pawn, someone that we've been told repeatedly through several characters is an idiot. Just like a trickster fox in folklore manipulates hunters or travelers, Amado might be saving Code for later, someone he can control or redirect when his true plan comes into play. Because it should be worth noting, Amado isn't working with Code. He doesn't respect him, but he knows Code's simplicity, and that makes him a chess piece that you keep alive. We know that Kawaki eventually wants to kill Code, and Amado's going to need Code to die now because Kawaki's not going to revive his daughter unless Code is dead. But Amado could be saving some of that information, some of his motives until he gets the most out of Code, just based on past behavior. And that brings me to the fact that Amado, he will cross lines for his daughters. We cannot discount the fact that Amado's entire purpose is to revive his child Akebi. That goal overrides everything. If some kids in the Konoha hospital gotta die, they just gotta die. He literally helped Jigen kill like 13 to 20 kids trying to find people that were suitable for the karma seal. If Amado truly has the ability to track code through the cyborg enhancements in his body, there's every reason to believe he would keep that information secret, revealing it if revealing it somehow jeopardized his own personal mission, revival of his daughter. Code survival right now might indirectly serve Amado, because as long as Code stirs chaos, the village, it does need Amado's expertise. It buys him time to further leverage to pursue cloning Akebi in a complete fashion, and maybe come up with contingency plans in case Kawaki's fear about her turning into an Otsutsuki comes into play. And there's a moral issue here. Amado has already crossed ethical lines by creating cyborgs. That is, taking human beings, injecting their entire body with ninja tech. You are basically defiling human nature at that point so they can surpass human limits. He has manipulated with Otsutsuki DNA. He has manipulated Kawaki's karma against his will. He has gaslighted Kawaki. If reviving Akebi requires keeping Code alive, potentially letting some other people die, Amado's already shown he will prioritize his daughter over anyone else. That makes him truly unpredictable because his morality is not tied to loyalty with Konoha or even humanity at large. The only reason why he said, hey, I can't let Ishiki do this is he's like, wait a second, you're gonna bring my daughter back, but you're gonna harvest a chakra fruit. Why am I gonna bring my daughter back to life only to just die again? Instead, everything with Amado is tied directly to his daughter. When your compass is that narrow, it means that you can justify anything. That brings me to the Shinto trickster analogy that we have with Amado. In Japanese folklore, foxes or kitsune are known as shapeshifters, basically deceivers, tricksters. They don't always act out of malice, but they manipulate situations to their advantage. A fox might trick a traveler by creating an illusion of danger only to rescue them later, earning loyalty or worship, and then they betray them. Similarly, Amado, he engineers crises. We've seen it before. Then he positions himself as the only man who has a solution. Like a fox, Amado could be hiding his true intentions, his true form. Not saying he's Otsutsuki, I'm not going that direction, but when I say true form, I mean his true face, if you will. Because the face that you present to the public isn't necessarily the face that you are in real life. He wears a mask of a grieving father who only wants to resurrect his daughter Akebi, but when you think about it and you look at him objectively, he is constantly scheming, weaving lies, and telling truths, half-truths, in order to keep everyone engaged. And by keeping them engaged, he is keeping them entangled. If Naruto was built on a Will of Fire from a thematic perspective, Boruto 2 Blue Vortex could be using Amado to reveal the will of the trickster. Amado is that fox in the shadow. In my opinion, it makes a lot of sense to put extra scrutiny on Amado because Boruto Part 1 and now 2 Blue Vortex, it is consistently asking the question, where does science fit into the world of Shinobi? Not saying Amado is final villain, but I am saying that the idea that he directly or indirectly, because of his ninja tech, ends up making a situational bomb that he can't anticipate the fallout from isn't something we can discount. Amado's one of those guys that thinks he's smarter than he is. Granted, he is very smart, but characters like him, usually when things blow up in their face, it's because they were arrogant. So you might ask, hey man, what does this mean for Konoha? Well, for Konoha, Amado is someone that they, for the most part, think is an ally. Shikamaru knows better, but for the most part, they treat Amado like someone that they can use. He is operating under the Ninja Tech department. But if he is hiding surveillance tools in Kawaki and potentially others, if he's keeping Code alive for his own endgame, and if he's sitting comfortably while Ada provides him cover because Ada has a Semigon and so he doesn't have to reveal he has this information, then Konoha isn't truly dealing with a partner or a citizen that is serving them. They're dealing with a fox who may be luring them deeper into his trap. The real question isn't if Amado betrays him, in my opinion. It might be when. And the when might come down to something to do with his daughter. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, clicking here on the left to check out this video from Naruto Explained, or click here on the right to check out videos from other 2 anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto content.